I'm sorting through all the useless bills and resolutions introduced into Congress to see which member of Congress proposes the most useless legislation. Last week, Senator Richard Blumenthal joined Cory Booker and Ed Markey in first place so far this year, with 9 pieces of legislation each. Now, this week, Congress has had the week off to do some district work, so we only have 12 pieces of legislation to take a look at. Before we get started, some people were curious about how I decide what's useless and what isn't. And that's a good question. What I always ask myself when reading through these bills and resolutions is, will this have any discernible effect on the country or its laws? For most, the answer is yes, but a very small impact. For instance, HB 3570 amends the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to add a tax deduction for interest paid on auto loans for American-made cars. It won't change the world, but it will have a tangible impact on some people's lives. The best way to understand it is to take a single issue and see how to legislate it usefully and uselessly. For instance, say you wanted the Trump administration to reinstate the hundreds of thousands of federal employees whom it has fired this year. You could write a bill to require the government to reinstate recently fired probationary federal employees, or you could write a resolution simply condemning what happened, or expressing that the Senate believes that those employees should get their jobs back. Or, if you're really daring, introduce an unofficial holiday celebrating public servants everywhere. Another way I like to look at it is, if my elected representative only proposed this kind of legislation, would I be happy with their performance? So let's get into it. We have a lot of holidays, weeks, and months to cover, including Memorial Day and National Seersucker Day. You know, the coat, the type of coat. The guy from To Kill a Mockingbird wore one. Now, this is actually an in-depth celebration for Congress, apparently. Not only is June 12th Seersucker Day, and June as a whole Seersucker Appreciation Month, but every Thursday after that, until the end of August, is Seersucker Thursday, which is a tradition dating back to 1996 that encourages senators to wear seersucker coats every Thursday. It's sort of like a weekly dress-up celebration for the institution that's supposed to be passing legislation improving American lives. They actually canceled it back in 2012 because the government was about to shut down, and they were like, this isn't a great look for us to have weekly dress-up sessions while we fail to do the job we were elected to do. But then they brought it back in 2015, and everything's run smoothly ever since. It's also Children's Mental Health Awareness Week and National Extreme Heat Awareness Week, although the way we're headed, we might need an entire month for both of those. And don't forget National Foster Care Month, Mental Health Awareness Month, American Stroke Month, National Wildfire Preparedness Month, National Electrical Safety Month, Sex Ed for All Month, Equity and Access for All. Really rolls off the tongue there. And Older Americans Month. And you know what? It's nice for Congress to make a bill celebrating itself every now and then. Speaking of older Americans, this resolution congratulates the Pope for being elected Pope. And to show that not every piece of legislation introduced into Congress is useless, here's a neat one from Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove that would improve inmate firefighter programs, like the one that helped fight the Los Angeles fires earlier this year, by expanding occupational safety coverage for the incarcerated workers, recognizing them as employees entitled to wage protection, and creating pathways to fund job training and expunge the criminal records of those who have successfully completed their probation. Crazy that we can have a system that treats incarcerated people as people, and often we just choose to do the opposite. So good job, Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove. You get a rainbow sticker. So if we take a look at the leaderboard, not much has changed in the top 3, but Senator Chuck Grassley has actually jumped into joint 4th place with Dick Durbin and Brian Schatz. And this is the first time so far this year that Marjorie Taylor Greene has dropped off the leaderboard. So congratulations, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Only introducing one bill over the last 2.5 months has really helped your stats.